Hey there, welcome to the next lesson. So last time you set up your own computer's development environment to prepare for the coding of your application. This time you're going to create that first initial Laravel application. You ready to get started? In the previous lesson, you configured your development environment, setting up all the software to run your code, and you also installed Sublime Text, a source code editor to write your code. But there's one more thing we need to ensure you have ready to go, and that's a command line. The command line is a simple program that lets you run text-based commands on your computer. If you're on a Mac, your Mac comes pre-installed with a command line application called Terminal. And you can see, if you open up Spotlight and type in Terminal, you can launch it. It'll look something like this. Again, just a very simple interface that you can type into to execute commands. But if you're on Windows, you need to quickly install your command line program, which is called Git Bash. So open up your browser and Google for Git. Go to this first result, to the Git website. This button right here, if you're on Windows, again, should automatically detect that and say download for Windows. So go ahead and download that program and install it using all the defaults. Just make sure that you have the option checked that says install Git Bash, but it should be checked by default. So go ahead, take the time, download that right now, install it quickly. It should only take a couple minutes. And when that's finished, it should install your new command line program called Git Bash. And when you open up Git Bash, it should look like this image. Again, on a Mac, just use this terminal program that looks like this. So make sure you can open up your respective command line application, and then you can move on. And this is for Mac users only. If you're on Windows, you should already be using the proper version of PHP, so you can just disregard this. If you're on a Mac, keep paying attention. This will only take a couple seconds. So to start with, open up your terminal application, open up your command line and type in this command, which PHP. Okay, so note that this path right here that it displays doesn't have MAMP in it. So it's not pointing to the correct version of PHP. Let's open up MAMP. Click Preferences, go to the PHP tab, and note this number right here. This radio button is checked for, 5.6.10. We can leave that open so we can reference it. Then you need to run this following command. That's the version of PHP, by the way, that MAMP is running. Okay, so the next step is to type in VI. We need to quickly edit a text file to make sure that your computer is pointing to the right version of PHP. So type in vi:/.bash_profile. Okay, so that opened up a file, this bash profile text file. Hit the I key one time to go into insert mode so we can write. Okay, you see this change down here to insert. And then type the following: export all caps path equals /applications/mamp/bin/php/php, and then this number, so 5.6.10, 5.6.10, then /bin, and then a colon, $, and capital path one more time. Okay, so double check that you're adding this exact command right here, replacing this version number with the version number in your own MAMP. All right, once you're done, hit escape to go out of this insert mode. Okay, then type a colon. You'll see that this should change down here to this colon prompt, and then type the letters WQ, which means save and quit, and then hit enter. Okay, and now you need to run one more command, source:/.bash_profile. All right, now let's run which PHP again. And you can see that it's now pointing to the proper version of PHP, the MAMP version. Let's quit terminal and then open it up again to make sure that our setting took. So type which PHP again, and there you go. You can see that it took hold. So that means it's saved properly. All right, great. Now that that's out of the way, let's check and see what we need to set up to make sure that our new Laravel app will work properly when we create it. All right, to see what our Laravel app's gonna need, let's open up a browser and just Google for Laravel. Let's go check out the Laravel documentation. So we can here click this link. This is the main Laravel site, laravel.com. Let's go to the documentation. All right, so installation. You can skip this first part, installing Laravel. Let's check that out. So it says Laravel utilizes Composer to manage its dependencies. And so before using Laravel, make sure you have Composer installed on your machine. Well, what is Composer exactly? Let's click this link. You can see it says Composer is a dependency manager for PHP. And what the heck is that? So in order for your Laravel app to function, it's going to require other outside pieces of software, otherwise known as dependencies. But there are quite a few of these dependencies, and they're all created by other people. So it would be really hard to determine, for example, where to download them all from, and if you're using the right versions, what versions to install, etc., etc. And that's where this Composer program comes in. It's a program that makes it very easy to manage and install all those dependencies that Laravel requires. And you run Composer from the command line, which is why we just set that up. So let's install Composer now. If you go to Getting Started, I'm going to go through the Windows version first and then the Mac second. So if you click right here, this installation Windows, it's actually a breeze on Windows. See, it says the easiest way is to download and run this composer-setup.exe. So click this link right here, composer-setup.exe, then run that executable and just use all the default settings and you'll be good to go. So that's for Windows. All right, let's go back up to the top. So installation for Linux, Unix, OS X. OS X is Mac. So let's check that out. Come down here to this globally section, meaning that we'll be able to use it automatically in the command line all the time. And let's go down to this, a quick copy paste version using sudo. So copy this command, go back into your terminal and paste this in here and hit enter. Type in your administrator password and it'll download. There we go. To confirm that it downloaded, so this is now for Mac and Windows. In Windows, after you've successfully installed Composer, make sure you quit git bash and open it up again. In Mac, let's quit terminal and open it up again, and then type just this command, Composer, and hit enter. And what you should get is all of this. Just the listing of all the commands for Composer. And it's super awesome, you know, ASCII art up here. All right, so if this is what you see, everything's working great, you can move on. All right, it's time to create your initial Laravel app. So the first thing that we need to do, the very first thing, is find MAMP's main directory for where you put website and application files. So if you're on a Mac, if you open up Finder, go to your applications folder and go to the MAMP folder. Remember, that's its main folder. It's this htdocs folder right here where you put website files for Mac. It's empty right now because we haven't put anything in there yet. If you're on Windows, your path should be C :/MAMP. So CMAMP will be your main directory. So you should have CMAMP htdocs as well. All right, so back in your command line, let's actually for 1 second go back to the Laravel documentation. We're all set with Composer, so we can close that. Installing Laravel, so now we have Composer installed. If we go down here, let's go to this via Composer create project. So we're gonna use this command right here to create our new Laravel project. And that's all you need to do, one command. This is why we installed Composer, so it would be this easy. So back in terminal, go to your htdocs folder, and to move to a different folder in terminal, type cd space. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to go to Applications, MAMP, htdocs, and hit enter. And you can see now it changed this right here to htdocs, meaning I'm in the htdocs folder. So if you're on Windows, you would do something like cd space c/mamp/htdocs. Okay. All right, and inside here, now we can just run that command, which is composer space create dash project Laravel/Laravel, and the name of our project, so we'll call it movies, because remember we're creating a simple application for storing movies and movie reviews, space dash dash prefer dash dist. Okay, so that's this same thing, except for we added movies in here just to specify the name of our project. Otherwise, it would have been created with the default name Laravel. And if we run that, it's going to create our new Laravel application. And you can see, thanks to Composer, it's installing dependencies right now. That means it's installing all those dependencies, all the things that Laravel requires. So right now what it's doing is downloading all those, and then it'll install them. And here you can see all the dependencies being downloaded. And there you go, our application's been created. All right, so a few more very quick permission settings we need to take care of. So run a cd movies command to move into the application's new directory. And actually, if we quickly go over back to Finder, you'll see here's the new folder with all the Laravel application code, which is great. And run the following two commands. These are just to set a few permissions that Laravel needs in order to function properly. All right, and that's it. Let's go test out our new app. All right, so to start with, I'm going to start MAMP. You may already have it started. If you do, that's fine, but I don't. Okay, and there we can see, here's MAMP's starting page. All right, so I'm going to open up a new tab. We're going to visit our application. So we start again with localhost :8888, and then we need / the name of the directory of our application. So movies. And then one more / and the word public. And there you go. You can see that the application was created successfully because we have reached Laravel's welcome page. All right, let's take a really quick tour of how this welcome page works. So open up Sublime Text. We're gonna, for the first time, open up our entire application's code. So go to File, Open. If you're on Windows, it'll be File, Open Folder. And we're gonna browse to our Movies folder in the MAMP directory. So I'll go to MAMP, htdocs, and then Movies, and click Open. And you can see here you're already starting to see some of the magic of using a source code editor like Sublime Text. It automatically, not only does it leave open this window as a text editor, but it shows you all of the files in the entire project, which is very convenient. It's necessary for developing an application. Let's go ahead, and I'm gonna save this actually as a project in Sublime Text, which means we'll be able to open it easily the next time we are working on it. So go to Project, Save Project As. I'll just call it Movies App. And I'm just going to save it in my Documents folder. All right, perfect. So now that's saved. So the next time you open up Sublime Text, you'll be able to go to just File, Project, Open Project, and find that project. And it saves the state of everything you're working on, which is really helpful. All right, the first thing we want to look at is what's called the Laravel applications routes file. So if we go to in the app folder and then this HTTP folder, it's this file right here. Double click this, you can see it opens it up. All right, so what is this file and what is a route? So just briefly, and we'll dive into this more in a couple more lessons. A route is what lets you, in a web application, associate a certain URL with something to display, with a page to display. So you can see, in this case, there's one route definition. And what it's saying is associate just the home page URL, just a slash, and it's running this code right here. I'll explain this in just a second. So if we were to change this to say /welcome and to go back over here, first of all, if we refresh this, it's going to say, sorry, this page isn't found, because we just changed that route. So now it doesn't know what to do when you hit the root or main URL. But if we alter the URL up here to be /welcome and hit enter, our page is back. All right, so what is it doing? How is it getting this page content? How is this page being rendered just by entering this URL? So like I mentioned, when you hit a matching URL, it runs the code that's in here. You can see, so it's running this return view welcome function. So in PHP, this is what a function looks like. You have the name of the function, in this case view, and then an open and closed set of parentheses, and then the information or parameters you're passing into it. So in this case, this is telling Laravel, load a view file named welcome. Well, what's a view file? So a view file in Laravel is a file that's responsible for rendering a page. So I'd be willing to bet that we can find a view file named welcome that's rendering this initial Laravel page. So let's try to track it down. So back over here in the resources folder, here's this views folder, and this is where you store all of your application's view files, all of the files that help you render the pages in your application. And you can see that it automatically knows to look for files with this .blade.php syntax. So here's our welcome view right here, welcome.blade.php. And if we open that up, double click to open it up, by the way, here's another Sublime Text thing. Note that it tabs all your files, so you can have as many files open at one time as you'd like. Here we go. This is just an HTML page, and this is the page that is rendering that welcome page. So let's add a paragraph here. This is just a simple paragraph element. And I would suspect that if we save this and go back to our browser and refresh that page, we'll see our new added message. We made it. Let's give it a try. Make sure you save that. Back over here, if we refresh, there you have it. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with that for now. You now have your initial Laravel application created, which is a huge step, and you know how a route works, how you can associate in a Laravel app a URL with a view, and how Laravel renders its own welcome page. All right, so I know that was a lot, but congrats again on successfully creating your first Laravel application. Next time, we're going to talk about databases. Stay tuned for that.